Welcome back, everyone. This last tutorial is going to cover how to set up your link for weekly assignments. So again, if you would like to split your screen and work alongside me, that might be helpful to you and save you a little bit of time and give you that practical application component. If you'll go ahead and log in to your course, if you'll go ahead and click on the link on the left that says weekly assignments, it will take you to the view that I have here, assuming that you have not built anything into the weekly assignments link quite yet. If you have, then your content would be visible to you at this point. Just as simple as it was to add your syllabus to your course, it is equally as simple to add your weekly assignments to your course. There's just a little trick to the trade. And I do this tutorial to help everyone be as organized as possible. Rather than simply clicking on building content and adding files, and sometimes it's more than one file for any given week, what we would like to do is organize your content in folders for every week of those 32 weeks of your course. So our first step here in this tutorial is going to be building a content folder. And a content folder is just that. It's a folder that you paper or poly folder that you would buy at an office supply store. Think of it the same way. You're going to create a folder and then you will file into that folder the different documents for any given week of your course over the academic year. So go ahead and click on content folder. And very simply, you can name it week 1. Now, I realize by the time you're watching this tutorial, week 1 has come and gone, but if you would like to save yourself some time for next year, go ahead and create your week 1 folder and retrospectively add the files that you used a few weeks ago, in which case it will populate for you permanently, and you won't have to do it again next year in August. So we would name our first folder week 1. You do not need to add any text here, but if you want to, you can. So this is, again, where you would provide additional instructions to the students. Sometimes what I do here with my own students is I say, you will find all necessary files and or YouTube video links so I just kind of provide them a little segue. Here's what you're going to find when you click on this folder. Again, you don't need to do that, but you can. The defaults are all set, so you can leave them as is, permit them to view it. Don't worry about tracking number of views, and don't worry about a start and a finish for viewing for the students. I usually recommend just leave it open throughout the entire course of the year, because if you have a student who's curious enough that wants to go back and look at something again, by all means, follow the child and let them do it. So leave the defaults as is, then go ahead and click Submit. And now you have your week 1 folder, and remember that I typed in some additional information, so you will see that here. Let's go ahead and do it again, and let's create a content folder for week 2. Follow the same process as we just did. We will label it week 2. If you want to add text, go ahead and pause the tutorial and add your text to your likings. And when you are finished, hit Submit, and your week 2 shows up. You can do this for all 32 weeks of this course. And that's kind of your first step was setting up the weekly assignments link itself. Now, let's say that you've set up all 32 of those folders, and now you're ready to add your files to those folders, the files that you want the students to see and download and use for any given week. Well, let's go back into week 1. Since that week 1 has come and gone, everybody knows what content they covered. And here is where we're going to build on that prior tutorial where I showed you how to add a syllabus. It's the same process, except notice that we are in the weekly assignments link, and we are in the week 1 folder. Here, you will either add your file or your item for week 1. So let's say for me, I like to keep things simple. So I'm going to add a file, and I'm going to call it Week 1 Assignment Summary. All right. Whatever your file name is up to you. These are the individual file or files that you used in week 1, and you just add them one at a time. So I called mine Week 1 Assignment Summary, and then I would go into my Dropbox folder here, and I will find that particular course. And for me, this is how I do it with mine. So I have a Unit 1 handout that I give to my students. And notice that it added the file. Notice that I'm leaving the defaults as is. Don't care about it opening in a new window, alignment. Yes, I want the viewers to see it, and I don't care how many times my students look at it. And then I'm going to hit submit. There's my week 1 assignment summary that I put in that folder. So you can stay where you are. Let me back up for a second and show you what your students will see. They're going to click on weekly assignments. They're going to click on week 1. And now they see that week 1 assignment summary. Let's say that not only do you have some sort of documents, and you can add as many as you want, you would just keep going until you're finished. But let's say that you also wanted to add a YouTube video to this particular week in your course. I'm going to pause my tutorial for one quick second and find a video link, and then I'll show you how to do that just for the sake of time. All right, so now I'm going to thank you, and I know you didn't feel that pause there in the tutorial, but let's say that in addition to individual files that you wanted to add a video, you will simply go to, again, Build Content, and then if it is a YouTube video specifically, you can go to the YouTube video mashup link, you can search for it, find it, and add it. If you ever have trouble with that, which occasionally I have had trouble with doing those YouTube video links, and usually for me that comes into play if YouTube sifts the file and kind of puts it in a different location. Sometimes the URL will change a little bit, and that will create a hiccup in Blackboard. Your other option is to click on Web Link. So for example, I found a video in YouTube that actually I have all my grad students watch at the beginning of the semester. I just share it with them in Slack versus in Blackboard, but nonetheless, click on Web Link. And notice that then it's going to take you to another option. You're going to have some required fields. So let's say motivational video for week 1. And you would name it whatever you want. And here is where you copy and paste the URL. So let's say that I found it in YouTube. It's one of my favorite motivational videos. And you find your video, click on share. I'm sure all of you already know this. You will copy it, Control-C is what I do, and then come back here and paste it. And by doing that, it will populate for your students. Now there's some other options. Text. You can put something here if you want to. Additional instructions for the student. If you needed to attach a file to go along with it, you could do that, but you don't have to. And then you can leave the defaults as is. You don't need to touch them one bit. And by coming all the way down here to the bottom and clicking submit, your web link will now appear. Now, don't pause what you're doing here, and you don't need to do what I'm doing. I'm going to take it back again, and I'm going to show you what it looks like for the students. They click on weekly assignments. They click on week 1, and now they've got it. What happens for them when they click on the motivational video, it really depends upon the type of computer they have. But what it should do is take them, like it just did here.
I had a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. I had a 1.7.
All right, and that'll take you to the video, and I do promise you it's a good video. There is a reason why he starts out the way he does. But that's how it will show up for them. So you can always link multimedia content into any particular week's folder that you have within your course. So let me come back. I'm going to take a little shortcut here up to the top. where I've got my weekly assignments, and this all falls in this, under this link here. Week 1, week 2, again, set them up for all of your 32 weeks, and you can file whatever documents you want. Now let's say that maybe week 2 has not come yet, and you want to get a head start, but you don't want students to necessarily see what you're putting in that week yet. Let's say you get all the way down to week 30, and you say to yourself, well, I want to build it now because I'm in the groove and it'll save me time down the road, but I don't want them to see it quite yet. I'll show you what to do with that. If you simply click on that folder and you come up to the top where it says Edit, and it takes you into that initial screen that you saw, Name Week 2, and you come down here where it says Permit Users to View the Content. If you click No, you as the instructor can still work on it, but notice that it's grayed out and the item is not available. You can file your content in there. The students cannot see it. Now, the catch-22 with that is you have to remember to make it visible again so that when that time frame comes, the students can see that content. But just so you know, you can work kind of behind the scenes and actively be building things in Blackboard, but you can do it secretly, and then when you're ready, you can make it visible to the students. And I always recommend that you do that. If you're going to control what the students can or cannot see, do it in the folder option versus going into each individual folder and then each individual file and making them viewable or not. And it just reduces the opportunity for error, for you to forget to make something visible that was previously invisible. So if you're going to do that, just do it in the weekly assignments and just do it by folder. And that way, when you turn the folder on, everything is visible to the students. So don't control it by individual files. I've seen that really screw up colleagues of mine in higher education, and it becomes a real big pain. So that concludes the tutorial on building your weekly assignments.